I am back from Syria and I want to talk about my trip and my experience. I know I've been a little quiet on the internet, but I just needed a couple days to recoup and recover. I really went from two extremes because I saw the worst of the worst in Syria on my humanitarian aid trip. And then I went to Dubai after and I saw like luxury and the best of the best. And that just kind of messes with your mental a little bit. So as you guys know, I am Syrian, full Syrian. Both my parents are from Syria. And if you guys didn't know, my mom is actually half Armenian. So I'm like 25% Armenian. So in the early 1900s, during the Armenian genocide, there was a genocide in Armenia and a lot of Armenians fled and they migrated to Aleppo, Halab, which is where my family is. So my mom's mom, my grandma, is Armenian. She converted, she was Christian, she converted to Islam for my grandpa. And that's why my mom has a cute little amazing Christian community in Halab. And Halab is just one that fosters a lot of religions and ethnicities. My mom's view was a mosque and a church side by side. And it was just so beautiful. And I actually went back and I saw it this trip. Anyways, back to my trip. I am so extremely proud of myself and happy that I went on this mission and this trip. In the beginning, I got a lot of back and forth, and especially with my parents, they're like, it's not safe. And some people are like, you don't really know what to expect. You shouldn't go alone. But I am so happy. And if I could do it all over again, I would. And I plan to do it again, inshallah. So we started off the trip in Halab, which is where my family is from. And we stayed there for 2 nights. And I did get to see my family, which was super fun and nice. We went out for ice cream and they took me to dinner and drove me around town. And it's just like so nice to connect to cousins again, because here in California, I don't have them. I only have one cousin. And it's unfortunate because I have such a large family. So to go back and to sit with the family and half communicate because my Arabic is so bad, it's so surreal. That was my first time ever feeling like I had family, like outside family to connect to. Number one thing I learned from the trip though is how uneducated I was. I learned so much from stories and from people in the city and from people who had been affected. For example, my good friend Taima, who I got to really know on this trip, she grew up in Syria and she was displaced and her family sought refuge, and her stories were just like I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. And you just hear stories of people that are now in the refugee camps and people with families, people with brothers and sisters, and you learn a lot. The only way you learn is by hearing. There are so many families that 15 million people were displaced. They had to leave. So I mean, my cousins were part of the millions, like a lot of them left. But I think we spent a whole day talking about Sednaya prison. And if you guys don't know what Sednaya prison, I implore you to search it and look it up and look at the stories and look at the facts of what happened and what went on in Sednaya prison. It is the worst prison in known history in the world. And that was in Damascus, Syria. Millions of people died there. It's just tortured. It's like Syria is such a beautiful country and everybody says it. Everybody says the same thing. The culture, the history, the art, the food, like the people. It's just kind of sad what's happened to it. But I feel like in a couple more years, they're going to rebuild. And they need a lot of time. They have a lot of work to do, but Syria will rebuild. So with my organization, we did a lot with the donation money. One thing that we did was sponsor 6 eye surgeries. They were for elders and for children. And you heard different stories of why they needed the eye surgery. Some were affected by the bullet shrapnels and they went blind. Different stories for different people. And I got to go in the operating room and see the surgery actually being done on the person's eye, and it was crazy. And we just gave them their eyesight back, and that was so beautiful. We also made and packaged 600 food parcel boxes, and it was full of food that would feed an entire family for a month. So we did 600 boxes and we distributed them to different camps and different cities. We also did a barbecue day in one of the disabled refugee camps. A lot of the people in that camp were disabled. So we did them a whole barbecue with like chicken, meat, lamb, salad, rice, and passed out, I think that day there were 300 meals and then also 150 food parcels. That was one of my favorite days because I just met one of the sweetest girls and we're really connected to her, and I just felt like she could have been my little sister. Another day we did like a carnival day for the orphan kids, and we had shawarma because shawarma is like a luxury to these kids. Like they're not eating chicken and shawarma every day, and they were super happy about it. So we had lunch and then we also did toys, and we distributed toys, and I think that day it was like 200 kids. Also one of my favorite days. That's the first day I had arrived, so I was just immersed into it all. Last and favorite thing that we did was support a micro business. So this gentleman, this man was 34 years old. He has 6 kids and his whole life was taken away from him. He went to Sednaya prison and he was tortured there, electrocuted. They ended up having to do a prisoner exchange, and that's the only reason he came out. He told us his whole life story while we sat in his like small little home that I couldn't believe, like, this is how they were living. Those conditions were crazy. But his dream was to open a falafel shop because that was what he used to do in the past, is like a chef. So we opened up his falafel shop for him in his city, and now he's going to be able to feed the whole city for a fair, affordable food. And we like had the grand opening for him, and he came and made us lunch that day, and it was just really, really amazing to see like his dreams come true. Even for his family and his kids, they were so happy to see their dad finally like be able to start over again. Oh man, it was, and the food was amazing. My video is already like almost 10 minutes, but there's just so much I could talk about, especially the Liberation Day on December 8th. December 8th, Liberation Day, is 1 year fully since the fall of the Assad regime. So the old president that made the country horrible, he's been gone for a year. So they had a big party, a big celebration in the streets, and I want to talk about that. I'm going to have to do another video, but I'm so happy to be home. And thank you guys for supporting and donating and being a part of my journey. It was the first, but it definitely won't be the last. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.